Welcome everybody back to the Rock Turtle YouTube channel. It's great to have you here. As you can see, I've got my pink glasses, my green top. You've seen the title. This is of course the Wicked for Good non-spoiler review. I want to make that clear. There'll be no spoilers whatsoever in this. I'm very aware some people won't have seen the stage musical, and seeing these films for the first time will be their first exposure to this story. So yeah, no spoilers in this whatsoever. Let's get into it. Okay, as you can probably tell by my enthusiasm, yeah, Wicked for Good was pretty great, right? Shock, I know, one of the most beloved stage musicals ever, makes for a good movie. What do you know? It was the same case last year, and yeah, I think this one lives up to being that quality second part. Okay, where should we start? Right, I actually want to begin with giving massive credit to the director and the cinematographer, okay? Director John M. Chu and cinematographer Alice Brooks, who obviously did the first Wicked movie. Both of them did actually. But Alice Brooks also did the cinematography, I've researched this obviously, for Tick Tick Boom, and she's credited for doing work on Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is of course coming out in 2027. So that's really exciting. And the reason I want to start with those two is because I think the biggest compliment that I can give, especially Wicked for Good as a second part, is that the people making this film have utilized the medium so well, okay? In terms of bringing a musical that is so beloved from the stage onto the big screen, it is just phenomenal. The stuff they have been able to do, the attention to detail. I mean, you can just tell that like 90% of the people in charge of all the decision making are huge Wicked fans, like complete Wicked nerds, because again, the attention to detail is so good. There are so many little callbacks and references, probably half of which I wasn't even able to pick up on, but my girlfriend certainly was. I went with her to see Wicked for Good last night, and I mean, she's a massive Wicked fan, always has been since I think 2014. She said she first saw the musical, fell in love with it, and yeah, she pretty much cried for the entire second half of this movie. So if you're a Wicked fan, that should bode well. Yeah, I wanted to start with those people behind the camera because I just think they've done such an incredible job. And when I say utilizing the medium, you know, often you'll see a musical adapted from the stage to the screen, and it almost feels like it has less a personality, right? It almost feels like it had that bit of magic on the stage and they've tried to bring it to the screen and it just hasn't worked. It's like it falls flat. Wicked, I would say, is the complete opposite. Of course, the stage musical is iconic, but they've brought it to the screen and actually used every single thing they can to make it work and to make it unique and something that actually works differently to how the stage musical did, and it just makes a splash in its own way, and I think that's really important and really deserves some credit. Next, let's go performances. I mean, Cynthia and Ariana, oh my gosh, like, I mean, Cynthia was brilliant, I think, in the first one. She was actually the better of the two. I think I was more impressed by her. I think in this film, Ariana Grande actually might deserve the Oscar. Excuse me. I actually think in this film, Ariana deserves the Oscar. Ariana Grande, oh my gosh. Her performance in this is actually incredible. Her performance in this is actually incredible. Her attention to detail, I keep saying that, but the tiny nuances in her face are just amazing. Like, absolutely amazing. Whether that's her being happy or being sad, and I'm, oh my gosh, when she cries in this film, damn does she cry, and it gets you. It did get me. I just think both of them were brilliant here again. Their chemistry is probably this film's biggest strength, and it's what has carried not only the first film but this as well, and kind of made it just such necessary viewing. Like, I just think that has helped this, dare I say, franchise already. We'll come back to like franchise possibilities, because with how much money the first one made and this one will, surely they're going to make a Wicked 3, or they're going to make a TV show. And I'm not saying that I'm behind that, by the way. I'm not saying that I want that, but I think it's inevitable with how popular this is and how much it's exploded. Yeah, so amazing performances from the two lead women. The songs, I mean, like, as shock to absolutely no one, No Good Deed steals the show in this one. And it's possibly my favourite song over the whole of both films. My gosh, again with using the medium, using the format of it being a film, having it on a big screen, the way that they do that for No Good Deed. I don't want to say too much, obviously, this is meant to be non-spoiler, but it was brilliant and breathtaking. And yeah, my gosh, like genuine chills through that song. I think I cried a bit. Obviously my girlfriend was a complete state. But yeah, that was of course a particular standout. The other songs I think were good. I think solid. I've never been as big on the rest of kind of disc 2, if you like, as maybe some other people, so there wasn't as much to get from the other songs. That being said, there are 2 new songs in this film, right? Original songs created for the film that aren't in the musical. And as for the 2 of those, I thought one of them was decent. Again, I don't want to say anything about them if you haven't looked at them or listened to them. I thought one was decent. I thought the other was pretty boring. So overall, I wouldn't say that the new songs brought much to it for me. I think it's possibly a case of, like, we need to feel this with stuff, right? Overall, Wicked from last year and then Wicked for Good make about 5 hours of film, when they're adapting a 3-hour stage musical. So there's an extra 2 hours of content in there somewhere. So yeah. I can't help but feel they threw new songs in to kind of boost it, chunk it out a bit, and yeah, they didn't add too much for me. That being said, thematically, this film is so rich. Wicked for Good, for this to come out in 2025, it feels incredibly relevant, and like, you have to give them so much credit for like sticking with certain things and highlighting them more to make this film more relevant, again, in today's political climate, and kind of we'll talk about that more in a sec. But also, massive credit has to go to the original, the original Broadway, like, because, I mean, I know this is 25 years too late, but yeah, they really cooked. Okay, they actually made something incredible, and it's so easy to see, as it was with the film last year, why the musical took off. And by the way, so my relationship with the Wicked musical, I didn't really know much about it. I'd heard of it. I didn't know much of it until last year, when I met my current girlfriend last year, and she said, like, she went on about it and was like, hey, there's a movie coming out at the end of this year, we have to go and see the musical, like, you need to see it. And I did love it. I loved the musical, so got to see it before the film came out. And as for that first film, I saw it once in the cinema and did not watch it again until earlier this week. And actually, I think that helped massively for kind of containing my excitement for the whole year. And then my excitement exploded after rewatching the first one just for this week, so I didn't have to wait too long, if that makes sense. And yeah, it actually really helped my experience with this one, because I remembered everything I needed to remember. There was so many little callbacks and parallels between the 2 films, which I thought were excellent, and that I wouldn't have picked up on if I hadn't have rewatched it. Yeah, so I think the first one was so good, and it just had me buzzing for this new one. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, like, not to get too political, but like, I'm gonna get political because this film is just insanely, I mean, it's mirroring like modern day politics with like, in terms of like good versus evil. I just like, genuinely, like, especially American politics, like Republicans versus Democrats, the opinions that the two sides have about what's important, and our treatment of other people versus, you know, I mean, like, I just don't want to get into it too much. But yeah, it is so, it's so blatantly, well, I say blatantly, it really has a lot to say about, I think, today's politics, and whether that's intentional or not, it's hard to say, because again, this stuff, you know, these ideas all did exist with the original Broadway, which it's just kind of impressive that it stands up today. And yeah, I think the politics are obvious at times, you know, very in your face, but also incredibly subtle in other ways. And so I think there's a great balance there of spoon feeding you, like, yeah, like this is mirroring this in real life, like, get the picture, but then also saying, you know, we can also make very nuanced like jabs at the government, right? It's very clever. I think my favorite theme though, or my favorite motif, if you like, from this second part is, you know, having actual power and not having the platform to use it, you know, versus having no real power, right? And that's, remember, that's something that Elphaba says to the wizard in part one. You have no real power. And, you know, yeah, again, so having no real power, but having the image, right? And there's like a quote or an adage or something about magicians where someone, I can't remember if it was someone or it was written, someone said that, you know, a magician's greatest asset, a magician's greatest tool is convincing you that they have something up their sleeve when they don't. And I think that is incredibly relevant for this film, right? Where it's not just about what can you do, but it's about what people think you can do. Again, massively mirroring today's like current climate, right? You know, you think of some of the big names that are in power at the moment, and that's what they do. It's they convince you that they have power when actually they don't, but it's just feeling like they do, which gives them so much control. And that's just, it's an amazing dynamic between Elphaba and Glinda. Elphaba, powerful beyond measure, but just doesn't have the trust, doesn't have the image for people to get behind her and for her to use her abilities for good, really. Versus Glinda, who has no power. She has no real power, just as the wizard doesn't. Yet she has the image and faith of everyone behind her, and I mean, I'm getting chills just think about it. It's almost saying that's where real power lies. Real power isn't something physical. It's not a physical strength or something you can actually do. Real power is in what people believe. I just think that's brilliant. Again, like, credit has to go to the original musical, because this is all stuff from there, right? I've seen it. I'm sure many of you have seen it. Yeah, it's just amazing how well it translates to today. It's just brilliant. A few extra bits. The costume design in this film, there's one character in particular, I don't want to say it, I don't want to say which character, but oh my god, my jaw was on the floor just at how well this character was brought to screen. I was making the example when speaking about it last night that not since Mysterio coming into Spider-Man Far From Home, if you remember that, can I remember seeing a character be brought into live action where I thought, God, that was such an impossible task, and they just nailed it. So amazing costume design. The sets, once again, are spectacular. Of course, a lot of them are the same as in the first one, but there are new ones, and they're just as brilliant. Guys, Wicked for Good is a banger. Like, I think if I have to compare to the first one and say which is better, I think for me the first one is better. I would go Wicked over Wicked for Good. I think purely on a structural basis, I don't think the second one is as sound, and as it feels a bit more messy, right? Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It is just a fact. It doesn't flow as well, I think, as the first part does. And I think a lot of fans of the musical feel that way as well, that the first half is their favourite. And yeah, I think maybe that rings true for me as well. But again, take nothing away from the second part. It is brilliant. It just doesn't flow as well. I don't think it's as neat, you know. I don't think it's as trimmed down. And you know, when people talk about like trimming the fat off, I think there's an element of that for the second part, which it just doesn't feel as concise and as natural and organic in its progression and its story. That being said, though, I think it has a lot of big moments that wow you, that shock you, that evoke those emotions, maybe more so than even the first movie did. I mean, I was just stunned by this film in so many ways, and it is darker, right? It's darker and it's sadder. More sad? Is sadder a word? Like, what are we doing here? And I can't help but be obsessed with the arcs of Elphaba and Glinda. I just think they're incredible. The way that they almost kind of start in different places. They start as total opposites, and they kind of progress to meet a middle, but then continue to like almost go to what the original version of the other was. It's kind of phenomenal how well those two characters are written, and just how powerful their journeys are as people. And so in terms of, you know, do I recommend this film? Absolutely. I think whether you've always been a Wicked fan or whether you just saw the first one and loved it, I think you should love this one as well. I think it's likely that you prefer the first one to the second one, but I mean, don't let me tell you how to feel, right? My girlfriend, for example, I feel like I've brought her up a lot. I'm not trying to brag about having a girlfriend, right? Though it is a flex because she's amazing. But yeah, for example, she's someone who does prefer the second half. So it's, you know, it's possible you'll fall either way. For me, I think the first one, again, slightly has the edge in terms of feeling more structured, you know, as kind of a narrative piece. But yeah, absolutely recommend this second one. It delivers on, I think, everything I wanted it to deliver on. I think this one will only get better the more I watch it as well. The first one I loved straight away, and I don't think there's more to get from it on rewatch. With this second one, I think there was so much to take in that it was almost a surreal experience. And I think the more I watch it, the more I'll be like, wow, there's actually so much to just sink your teeth into here. Again, the themes, I don't want to go on about it, but yeah. So as a final score, I think I gave the first one a 9 out of 10. I'd probably go 8 out of 10. Could easily go to a 9 in future, but I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10 for now. Wicked for Good is brilliant, guys. Absolutely brilliant. Please check it out. This is one of those blockbusters where I would say, please do support it, okay? We need more stuff like this, right? In terms of having, you know, women as the lead characters, I think this is such a great film for bringing women to the cinema and just a more diverse audience in general, right? You know, it's not like Transformers where you show up to the cinema and it's 80% just white guys in their 20s and 30s. Like this type of film actually creates a safe space for for all sorts of people to come to the cinema, and I kind of love that about it. Yeah, honestly, don't have a bad thing to say about Wicked for Good. It's brilliant. It's more fun, but it's also more emotional. Yeah. Did I say 8 out of 10? Yeah, I think I did. Thanks so much for watching, guys. And hopefully I'll see you in another video very soon. Yeah. And remember, be yourself. I'm trying to make that my thing now. Yeah, be yourself. I think that's a good closing line. All right, lots of love, people.